Palfinger has developed the truck loading crane from a simple loading machine into a specialist unit for an extremely wide range of tasks. This is an advantage which the construction industry can utilize more than ever as it faces increasing cost pressure. For example, it makes sense to combine the transport of roofing materials with the installation work. This is a logistical approach which pays off and which in many countries represents a standard application for the Palfinger loading crane. The profitability resides in the flexibility of the crane application. Setup times are so short, they are inconsequential, and the crane is quickly ready for action with its outriggers deployed. This means that idle time is reduced, because the crane can change its position quickly, without any great effort, and move to the next building site. As a result, the crane can, if necessary, serve several construction sites on one day. From a certain crane size, the fly jib becomes an essential piece of equipment for the modern loading crane. Like deployment of the outriggers, the assembly and extension of the fly jib takes very little time. The remote control is important for many jobs and also permits sensitive crane operation. The crane operator can position himself optimally to handle the particular job situation. In some countries, up to 80% of Palfinger heavy-duty cranes are fitted with a cable winch, which proves very useful for jobs involving placing and positioning. If the truck is equipped with a Palfinger loading crane, the transport and installation of control panels can be optimally combined. The delivery is made on a just-in-time basis, and when the truck is unloaded, the heavy control panels are placed and installed. This job cannot be handled more quickly and cost-efficiently by any other method. Places where formwork is being constructed are often difficult to access, so both a long outreach and a good lifting capacity are required. Thanks to its double linkage system, the Palfinger crane can apply its full lifting capacity, even in an unfavorable arm position, as is the case here with the long horizontal outreach. At its full outreach, the PK100-002 still has enough lifting capacity to place the formwork elements with pinpoint accuracy. If the construction site is accessible by truck, a lighter crane model can handle the installation of the control panels. In particular, when it comes to building walls away from construction sites equipped with a crane, the Palfinger truck loading crane represents the quickest and most efficient unit for handling formwork. The same applies to filling the concrete. Wherever the use of concrete pumps or conveyor belts is not feasible for logistical or cost reasons, the Palfinger crane with the concrete bucket offers an optimal alternative. Apart from whether or not a concrete pump is available, Using a pump does not always represent the most cost-efficient approach for concreting ceilings. In Spain, for instance, the ceilings in thousands of houses are concreted by means of this simple and highly cost-efficient method. A system which has proven successful for years and is therefore used throughout the country. Construction of a factory hall in Torrejón. The formwork boxes are not dismantled, but used again and again as complete units, saving time. They are lifted by the crane from the already concreted pillar to the next position and placed over the reinforcement. If no construction crane is available, the job is handled by the Palfinger PK20002 crane. It can shift the formwork and do the concreting. Not very much concrete is needed for each pillar. The concrete bucket can be used to fill the formwork precisely. This is an operation which can be handled optimally, including vibration, in this form of mechanization. The redevelopment and partial tunneling of the M30 in Madrid is currently Europe's biggest urban road building project. The material and technical effort required reach gigantic proportions. Every day, many tons of formwork material and reinforcing bars are delivered by crane trucks and, in most cases, installed straight away on the spot. Over a route length of approximately 10 kilometers, more than 200 Palfinger cranes are working round the clock. To maintain the enormous volume of traffic, bypasses have to be continually moved in line with the progress of construction and secured by means of mobile concrete walls. For removing, loading, and repositioning the heavy concrete elements, the Palfinger crane equipped with a barrier grab represents the ideal combination of equipment. The M30 project also entails a lot of work on the Rio Manzanares. Retaining walls have to be moved and new bank reinforcements built. The Palfinger PK44002 crane, equipped with remote control, provides the best requisites for this job. When formwork is being moved, the crane often has to deploy unfavorable arm positions, and this is where the superior power of the Palfinger double linkage system counts, along with sensitive crane control and the reliability of Palfinger crane engineering. It is therefore no coincidence that since the start of the work on the M30, the formwork elements have been moved almost exclusively by Palfinger cranes. Once the construction work is completed, traffic on the M30 will in part move underground. Tunnel construction sites represent an additional logistical challenge for all involved. Little space is available, and lifting work can only be carried out by cranes whose geometry can cope with the cramped conditions. The Palfinger crane is ideal for such jobs, thanks to its compact design and optimal lifting capacity distribution. Palfinger has developed the crane from a simple loading machine into a specialist unit which can handle an extremely wide range of tasks. As a result, on many construction sites, such as this one in Ileska, only Palfinger cranes can be seen. They have become a symbol of cost-efficient crane operation and have displaced other lifting gear from construction work. Building materials are not only delivered by the crane vehicle, but can also be placed down where they are needed by the crane and used immediately. There is no other faster and more cost-efficient way of handling roof and ceiling elements. Wherever building materials are needed in the upper floors, the Palfinger crane does the job. And so, also on the major construction site at Paracuelos, north of Madrid, there is no other crane to be seen far and wide. The roof structures consist of metal profiles which are not heavy, but which have to be placed with pinpoint accuracy. The crane operator, with his remote control, finds the best position for seeing the unloading situation, and the work can then proceed quickly and, above all, precisely. The Palfinger crane plays a key role at many roofing companies. The crane can work so efficiently and do the jobs so quickly that it is often hired along with an operator. In particular, when lifting bulky materials such as these metal panels, the crane is at an advantage over hoists. The enormous outreach of the PK72002 with fly jib makes it possible to supply material to two houses without the need for the crane to change its position. The ability to move quickly from one construction site to another, the short setup times, and the crane's flexibility in operation are decisive criteria for roofing firms. As a result, they can meet promised deadlines, keep costs under control, and more accurate estimates to customers. Depending on the equipment and the statutory regulations in the country concerned, the working basket is another important attachment on building sites. It is used by roofers and building firms mainly for repair and remedial work. In some countries, the unit can also be operated from the working basket. One of the jobs carried out by roofing firms is the removal of old roofs. This is a job which is always subject to considerable time pressure because the time between removal of the old roof and installation of the new one must be kept as short as possible. For this type of work too, the Palfinger crane represents the best, quickest, and most cost-efficient method, taking all the possible alternatives into account. Palfinger heavy-duty cranes can be supplied with up to 9 hydraulic extensions, enabling them to work at a great height. The fly jib extends deep into the interior of the structure. A great advantage if the crane often has to work in town, standing close to the wall of the building because space is tight. This type of crane working happens all the time, especially for carrying out repair work or installing air conditioning systems. For many structural engineering firms, the Palfinger crane equipped with a cable winch and fly jib is an indispensable working aid in the construction of steel hulls. It enables hulls and prefabricated structures to be built with ease, quickly, and above all, very cost-effectively. The fly jib is often an advantage. It improves the crane geometry and proves its worth even when working near the ground. For example, when removing and dismantling very high scaffolding from a newly built service water tank. Nowadays, building materials have to be delivered just in time and placed down where they can be used straight away. There is little space available, and in order not to disrupt the traffic, the crane has to work from close up to the wall of the building. This places high demands on the geometry of the crane, but is not a problem for a Palfinger crane with a double linkage system and fly jib. The geometry of the Palfinger crane also makes it possible to place loads and to unload through window openings. Dry building materials always have to be placed on the building story where they are needed. The load on the sling gear is bulky, but the fly jib and precise crane control make it possible to drop the load behind the window opening. Depending on the crane type, versions can be supplied with up to 9 hydraulic extensions. This means that buildings which are up to 35 meters high can be supplied with building materials. Where necessary, and this is quite often the case, building materials are inserted horizontally into the interior of buildings. Modern architecture tends to use glass facades. Their construction is not a problem, but what happens if a glass panel needs to be replaced and access is impeded by a palisade which has been subsequently built? The movement geometry of the Palfinger crane helps here. The glass panel, which is 7 meters long and very heavy, is held by the vacuum lifter and moved centimeter by centimeter by the crane winch into the required position for installation. Whereas at one time the loading crane was only considered for loading and unloading materials, today the Palfinger knuckle boom crane provides all the requisites for handling an extremely wide range of different jobs. Jobs which a Palfinger knuckle boom crane can carry out faster and more cost efficiently. Thousands of companies around the world earn good money with this experience. They swear by Palfinger. Palfinger, the better crane.